Okay.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I just want to let you know that this session is being recorded because we had some people who wanted to participate but couldn't be close to a kitchen right now to participate. So we're going to be sharing with them after and on our social media. My name is Chris Ellis, and I'm the Director of our Organizational Advancement at Community Health Center of Cape Cod. For anyone who's not familiar with our organization, our mission is to improve the health of our community through the provision of comprehensive, high-quality, compassionate healthcare to all, regardless of ability to pay. We serve more than 20,000 individuals, offering integrated care services in Mashpee, Falmouth, Bourne, and in Centerville. This cooking demonstration today is the second in our series of virtual events as part of our second annual online auction, which is focused on celebrating local wellness. The online auction is live now through August 28th. And you can visit bit.ly/CHC auction or our website, chcofcapecod.org, to view some great auction packages donated by local individuals and businesses. And we have some great packages on there already, and some good ones are being added each day. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Just so you know, a lot of the services that we provide to our patients in our community are not reimbursable and are provided free of charge to our patients. And so that's why fundraising events like this are really integral to us in helping us meet our mission. Before I introduce Nicole Cormier and her team, I just wanted to make sure you mark your calendars for the third virtual event that we have in our series, which will be a workshop on mindfulness and stress with Calmer Choice on Thursday, August 27th at 1 p.m. So turning it over now to Nicole, we're grateful to have her and her team here from Delicious Living Nutrition to do a cooking demonstration. Just to give you a little bit of a background on Nicole, she is an anti-dietitian, local food enthusiast, author, and intuitive eating nutrition therapist, and a certified B-Body Positive facilitator. She indulges her passion for nutrition and local foods on beautiful Cape Cod through her nutrition therapy practice, Delicious Living Nutrition, through a partnership in a cold pressed juice company, The Local Juice, and her work with Sustainable Cape, a nonprofit that celebrates local food while teaching about the health of our bodies, community, and environment. She graduated from the University of Massachusetts in the Beth Israel Deaconess Dietetic Internship in 2006. After following her passion, she has been mentoring nutrition students through summer internships and founded the DLN Dietetic Internship that will become their first class just past January. So thank you again, Nicole and her team. We really appreciate having you there. We're looking forward to this, and I'm going to turn it over to you. And I have two small sous chefs who might be joining me as we do our own cooking here in our kitchen. So thank you very much, Nicole.
Great, thank you so much for having us today. I am here with our dietetic internship that does do a rotation with your center, and we're really excited to reconnect and spend some time in the kitchen with everyone. We have a really amazing plant-based recipe today, and I'm going to pass it over to Rachel and Grace. That will help get us started, and we can discuss any questions that come up along the way. So here we are. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So today we are going to be showing you how to make carrot edamame cakes with a kale salad and a miso dressing.
Out on the deck, dear?
Got it.
So today we're going to start off with the carrot edamame cakes. So for that we used edamame beans, carrots, we're going to use some scallions, sesame oil, nutritional yeast, and coconut aminos.
All of these things we're going to send you on a handout at the end of kind of our little cook date today. So that way you guys can have the recipe and try it for yourself at home. Everything on this list is super easy to get either from your own garden or from a local grocery store.
Great. So to start off for the cakes, we used a bag of just frozen edamame that you can get at the grocery store. And to cook them, we boiled them on the stove with water and a little bit of salt for about 5 minutes so they're tender. And once they were cooked, we took the edamames and just popped them out of the shell. Just like that.
A fun fact about edamame, edamame beans is you can either buy them in the way from a bag. They're super easy. Boil them in the shell, or if you're looking for an even better, or if you're even more in a time crunch, you can get them already pre-shelled. And there's no nutrient differences between the frozen or the pre-shelled for you. All right, so
This is also a really good protein source. So anything that is 7 grams or more can be a plant protein for you to assemble into a meal.
So, while we just shell a few more of these.
does anyone have any experience cooking or eating edamame beans? Do you guys like those? You can answer.
Yes, I love edamame.
That's awesome. This will be right up your alley then.
All right, so I think that's all of those. So something we also did ahead of time was we shredded some carrots. So to do this, we just washed them, got some of the dirt off, and we actually placed them in the food processor to shred them. But if you don't have access to a food processor, you could also use a hand shredder or just chop them up really finely. That would also work. So yeah, so both of these we are going to combine into the food processor.
And again, if we don't have access to a food processor, you can put it in a bowl or like a mortar and pestle and just combine it all the best that you can.
Okay. So we're also going to add a little bit of,
Our chopped scallions.
yes, which we actually grew right out front in a little garden we have. So,
We're doing our little foraging this morning to get our oniony taste in there.
but you could also pick these up at the grocery store as well.
And if scallions, if you're big into the taste of onion and kind of that tangy taste, you can also substitute scallions for onion and load it up as much as you want. Just absolutely tailored to your taste.
That's that. We're also going to add a little bit of nutritional yeast. Has anyone used nutritional yeast before?
Yes.
Great. So nutritional yeast has a little bit of like a nutty, cheesy flavor, I would say.
And it's awesome because it's vegan. So if you're still if you're choosing to have that type of nutrition practice, it's a great additive because it has a lot of B12, which is really good for your energy. And it also promotes a healthy immune system, which is everything that we need right now.
And so we're also going to add a little bit of the liquid aminos.
Liquid aminos are great because I love soy sauce, but it's also pretty sodium laden. So this is a great alternative if you're looking to get a little bit more diversity in your nutrient palette for a meal, while kind of staying in that same flavor realm, which is great. So liquid aminos are a great option. So are coconut aminos.
Yes. And aminos are great for building muscle and immunity as well. And lastly, we are going to add a little ginger, right?
Yes, so if you aren't super familiar with ginger, it's one of my absolute favorites because it's this tangy, sweet spice that I think complements most dishes, in my opinion. If you can and you have access to fresh ginger, it looks like this in the ginger root. To peel it, you're gonna take a spoon and just run it across the edges. At the end, you're gonna have this kind of yellowy looking guy. And then I took a zester and you just shave it. So however much you want to fit your flavor, perfect. And then you can put it in a jar, you can save it, but we're gonna add it right into the cakes, and we're also gonna use a little bit on the salad later. So, yes.
And ginger also has a lot of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties to it. And a fun fact, it's really great to combat nausea and indigestion.
Which is why we always had flat ginger ale as a kid growing up. Yeah, as a kid. Still do it.
All right.
There you go.
So I added that, and we're just gonna add a tiny little bit of sesame oil, and sesame oil does have a very strong flavor, so we're just gonna add a little bit. And then we should be good to start the food processor. Make sure the lid is on.
Sorry, it might be a little loud.
Oh, hold on. Flip the switch back here. Hold. For the outlet.
No, we were having outlet issues. Do you guys like to cook a lot at home, or are you just getting into it? How are we feeling with culinary confidence at home?
So.
So, honestly, me too. This is why this is awesome for me.
Yes, so this should be good to go now.
All right, we're gonna throw this on. We have a lot in here, so we're gonna take it off, move around a little bit. That smells so good.
Colors.
Beautiful. One more time. All right, good. So when you come off the food processor, it's gonna look like, I don't know how well you can see it, I'll come around. So it's gonna be super fine. All of our ingredients, the beans and the carrots, which are the bulk of it, are gonna be really finely chopped, and that's gonna make your cake have like a really good consistency.
So once we have our mixture, we are going to line and oil a baking sheet.
We use parchment just for better cleanup.
And we are gonna take and make, it's a little messy, but we're just gonna make little balls.
And you want them to be about the size of your hand, so about the size of your palm, and that way you'll have a couple of cakes for your meal, and they cook better.
So while I do this, I think Rachel is going to show you guys how to start off the kale salad.
So, try to keep having you guys keep eating yourself and not eating yourself. If anyone, do you guys like kale? Are you new to kale? How do we feel on my favorite leafy green?
I like it. I don't eat it as much as I'd like to, but I enjoy it.
That's good. So we are actually using purple kale today from a local Cape Cod farm in Brewster, Mass. Halcyon. Last week I actually had the pleasure to harvest this, so it's super fun and full circle. So this is purple kale. We love the deep green color of it. It means it's loaded with nutrients for us, and we know that it's going to be great. For me, I personally take the bottom of the stem off. So if we look at this guy, this is the whole leaf. I would take about this much of it off just because it's a little bit too crunchy for my palate. It's totally, you can totally eat it. And if you like a really crunchy salad, it's going to be perfect. So you strip the leaf and just break it up. Give it a good rinse, make sure that everything's clean. And then for the kale salad, this guy, have a bowl. Take your clean kale, put it in a bigger bowl. And then as this is our base, it's just going to be super simple. So I'm going to toss it a little bit. To keep with the same flavor palette, I'm going to use just a little bit of sesame oil because it is really strong. So we've got to be a little careful with that flavor. But we like it, so. Do some sesame oil.
And I am just going to throw these cakes in the oven at about 375 for probably about 10 minutes, but I'll check them every so often just to make sure.
So now that we have kale, sesame oil, I'm gonna do a little bit of an extra oil because I like my salads well dressed. Also, it's a great way to activate the nutrients in the kale is to add a fat into it because your fat soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K, which are loaded here, and it helps your body absorb it more readily. So adding oils to your salad is always a great way to enhance the nutrient benefits of your meals.
And if you do enjoy the flavor of ginger, you could also add a little bit more.
So I love it, so we're gonna load it up.
Just make sure it gets mixed in well.
Because it does clump, it kind of makes almost a paste because it doesn't want to be separated the way that I do it. But you just kind of toss it in, and it'll break up a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little salt and pepper to it, and that's essentially what we're gonna use as our base. We made fresh ground pepper yesterday from peppercorns. We did it in a coffee grinder, which I didn't know was a thing that we could do. So we had like a little grinder and made our huge vat of peppercorn. So now that this is kind of all set, we can set it aside and wait until we plate the rest of it. So I'm gonna put it behind us and we can make our dressing.
And for the dressing, we are going to be using a miso dressing. Has anyone ever heard of miso before?
Yeah, we like miso.
So we have these two different kinds of miso here. This one is made from azuki beans, and this one is made out of barley. So which one should we use?
Why don't we do the bean one?
Well, we're gonna try the bean one. So to do this, I'm gonna get a bowl and a whisk. I'm gonna take about a scoop of the miso.
Scoop is about a tablespoon.
And I'm gonna add a tiny bit of oil.
Your oils can be whatever you like. You prefer it to be. It could be a grapeseed, olive oil, sunflower oil, either.
And I'm going to mix this a little bit to get it started.
And what's great about this sauce is the more that you dilute it with either a water or your oil, it can kind of change which direction you're going to be using it in. So you can either use it as like a miso drizzle or as a dipping sauce for whatever you're going to be using it with.
And so this is the consistency. I don't know if you can see it. It's still a little thick. So I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of water. And I may have added a little too much water, so I'm gonna add a little bit more miso.
It's the best thing about it because you can't really mess it up.
Exactly.
So miso is typically, it's a Japanese traditional sauce. It comes from fermented soybeans. Lately we've been kind of experimenting with fermenting different foods, so this fits right in with that wheelhouse.
And so we're going to use it as a dressing drizzle over the kale and the cakes. So as you can see, it's kind of a really thin consistency, but if you like it thicker and more flavorful, a stronger flavor, by all means.
Just go slow and add as you go, so you can kind of decide where and when to keep adding your stuff and change the consistency.
Yes, I'll check on the cakes. Still need a little longer. So we can start by plating the kale.
Yeah.
We get a plate for us.
Also, if depending on kind of your flavor preference of patties and cakes, if you have like a black bean burger, it's kind of in the same wheelhouse in the sense that if you're baking them and you want to just have a little bit more crisp or crunch to it, you can pan sear them and a higher smoke temp oil. So it's going to be like a grapeseed oil or safflower oil.
All right, so we're gonna use the kale as our base. As much as you would like. And
A little bit of the dressing on just to have it kind of marinate in it.
And ideally, we would be topping it with our cakes right now, but they are still in the oven. But we made some earlier.
Show you how it goes.
And this is what the final product would look like.
Looks delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It tastes, I wish you guys could smell it right now because it smells
so good.
unbelievable.
And it's super easy, really quick. It doesn't take a ton of ingredients, but everything that we put in this is really, it's a super nutrient dense meal that takes very little time.
Yes, we have our protein from the edamame, also maybe a little bit in the miso.
Yep.
And
an awesome thing about this recipe is because it's so simple and it is plant-based, you're starting at a great ground point to have like all of your meal components in it. But also if you wanted to add a meat protein, like a chicken or a turkey, it's super easy to add that in if you have a meat eater in your family or if that's your personal preference.
And you could also maybe even try and experiment with these cakes with different vegetables as well. Yesterday we made some that were black bean and zucchini. So making them into little patties is a great way to try and eat your vegetables in a different way than just baking them or sauteing them.
This meal also is really good with fiber, so we love when our plate and meal is balanced between protein and fiber. It's going to do a great job at keeping us full and satisfied while actually making sure that we have the nutrients we need throughout the day. In this instance, we get fiber from our carrots, from the kale, and from the beans, which is going to keep us full and keep us happy and not kind of wandering off in the middle of the day towards the snack drawer. Another option you could have if you wanted to bulk up the meal just a little bit more, you could add a grain. So great grains in this instance could be like a quinoa or a farro or a brown rice. So all of those are going to give you a great source of carbohydrate as well as your grain and a little bit more fiber. We also have our fats from our dressing. So the oil, a great rule of thumb when you're thinking about fats is when you want a serving size, it is about the size of your thumb. So if you're going to put it into like a little container, you can measure it out and just kind of always have that in the back of your mind. That like if you're going to have your fats in the liquid form, go for thumb. Or you could also do like a quarter of an avocado would really go well with this.
Just gonna open the chat. Yes, does anybody have any questions for us? Does anybody think they're gonna try this recipe? We're gonna send out the handout, which I believe you guys will receive a copy of.
Yep, we're going to send out the handout. If you haven't already, some people RSVP directly to events at chcofcapecod.org. That's my email. If you RSVP directly to that email, I'm just going to send you that recipe. But if you haven't, go ahead and shoot me an email with your contact information. But does anyone have any questions? This was great information.
And it doesn't have to singularly pertain to the meal. If you have a question about how to beef it up, how to do a little bit of a deviation, anything goes with it.
This is great. Thank you both. One thing that I liked most about it is kind of the versatility that you said of, adding in different things. So I feel like so many recipes are just, this is what it is and this is how to do it. So I liked kind of, being able to add certain things in. And I learned a lot about my salad dressing usage as I looked at my finger and realized I've been dousing all these years knowing that I've been putting on way too much. So a lot of good insight. Thank you both.
That was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Nicole, Rachel, Grace, it was great. Thank you. And if you don't mind, maybe if we do have some questions, once we do share this video with some others, if they have, questions or thoughts, maybe we'll share them with you But this was really wonderful. We really appreciate you doing this for us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
for
you.
Thank you.
All right, well, take care, everyone. Thanks again.